All right, let's talk about one of the coolest things happening in AI right now. It's a technology that's taking our AI chatbots from kinda smart to actually genuinely useful. We're talking about Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or as everyone calls it, RAG. But let's back up. You know that feeling, right? You ask a chatbot a simple question, and it either makes something up with total confidence, what we call a hallucination, or you just get that classic, I'm sorry, I don't know. So frustrating. Why does that keep happening? Well, that's the exact problem we're going to solve today.
For years, if you wanted to find something out, you'd go to a search engine, get a wall of links, and then it was on you to click through, read everything, and piece the answer together yourself. RAG completely flips that on its head. Now you ask a question, you get a straight, synthesized answer. The AI does all that tedious reading for you. It's a total game changer.
So yeah, let's properly dig into this. We're calling this first part the problem with answers. Because really, we've been stuck between a rock and a hard place. Either you're drowning in links from a search engine, or you're getting confident but totally wrong answers from an AI. And you know the pain of old school search. You don't use the exact right keyword and you completely miss the document you needed. Or you're looking for something recent and the top result is from like 5 years ago. These systems are powerful for sure, but man, they make us do a lot of work. So what's the fix? Well, that brings us to RAG. And I just love this subtitle because it's the perfect way to think about it. Imagine giving an AI two things: a library card to a very specific, super relevant library, and a personal expert researcher who knows how to find and summarize things perfectly. That's RAG. Now, to get what makes RAG so special, you first have to get the basics of the AI it works with, the large language model, or LLM. At its heart, an LLM is just a really, really good text completion machine. It's a master at predicting the next word in a sentence, which is why it can write stuff that sounds so human. And this is where RAG comes in. The most important thing to know is that RAG isn't a new AI model. It's a system. It's like a smart bridge that connects that creative LLM brain to an external knowledge base, one that's up to date and full of facts. And that connection is what keeps the AI grounded in reality. It stops it from just making things up. Let's go back to that library analogy, because it really nails it. The retrieval part, that's like your super fast researcher sprinting into a giant library and pulling out only the 3 or 4 most relevant books for your question. And the generation part, that's you handing those specific books to a genius scholar and saying, hey, just read these and write me a 1-paragraph summary. That's it. You can see it right in the name. First, it retrieves the facts it needs. Second, it augments your original question, basically stuffing that new info right into the prompt. And third, it asks the LLM to generate an answer, but now it's working with a fact-checked, context-rich prompt. Retrieve, augment, generate. Simple as that. Okay, so we've got the what and the why. Now for the fun part. Let's pop the hood and see how RAG actually turns your simple question into a smart, accurate answer. This diagram shows the whole assembly line perfectly. Over on the left, you've got your pile of documents, say your company's internal wiki or a bunch of PDFs. Those get chopped up into smaller pieces, or chunks. Then, those chunks are turned into a special number code called an embedding. So when you ask a question, the system just finds the chunks at the most similar code and feeds only those pieces to the AI to write your answer. So what in the world are these embeddings? Honestly, they're the magic key to this whole thing. An embedding is just a way of turning text into numbers. But here's the cool part. The numbers capture the meaning. So the number code for king is going to be really similar to the code for queen. This is how the computer can figure out that your question about payment problems is related to a document that talks about invoices. So let's walk through it one more time, super fast. You ask a question, boom, the system turns your question into one of those number codes. Then it zips through its database looking for the document chunks that have the closest matching code. It grabs those few relevant chunks, packages them up with your original question, and hands the whole thing to the LLM to write the final, context-aware answer. All right, so why are we geeking out over all this technical stuff? Well, this gets us to our last section, why this is such a massive deal. RAG represents a huge shift, taking AI from being a creative guesser to a genuinely knowledgeable expert you can rely on. And here's what that looks like in the real world. Someone's asking about this year's Geneva Fest. A normal AI would have no idea because its training data is probably a year old. But the RAG system does a quick search, finds the right dates for 2024, and gives a perfect answer. And look at that, it even includes citations so you can check its work. That right there is how you build trust. When you zoom out, the benefits are just so clear. RAG grounds AI in facts, your private, up-to-the-minute company data. It keeps the AI's knowledge fresh without you having to spend a fortune retraining the entire model. And maybe most importantly, those citations build trust. Suddenly, AI isn't just a passive tool, it's an active, reliable part of how you get things done.
And this brings us to one last big thought. For a long time, AI has felt a bit like a parlor trick, right? Clever, but not always trustworthy. RAG is helping it finally grow up. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. What changes when the AI you use every day stops guessing and actually starts knowing? Thanks for tuning in.